Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about deer season. So all across the United States, people are spinning up for deer season. Some folks are already out there hunting. Other folks are waiting to get started with their hunt. Here in Indiana, we're getting ready to go into rifle season. It'll run into December. And yeah, I'm going to be hunting on my property as I always do. And this year, I'm going to try something a little bit different. We're going to be working with this 6.5 PRC rifle from Pure Precision. And we'll talk more about this. We'll do a whole video on the rifle itself. This video is just talking about deer season, getting spun up, moving to 6.5 PRC versus 6.5 Creedmoor, and explain a little bit why, do a little bit of shooting, take a brief look at this rifle. Again, more will come in the future, a dedicated video to this rifle, then hopefully a nice hunt video to go along with it. So if you guys enjoy hunting content, stick around because we're going to be doing a little bit of that this year once again. So let's get started with today's video. Take a look at the Pure Precision bolt action rifle in 6.5 PRC and talk about the cartridge, my new favorite cartridge for hunting. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. So let's talk about the 6.5 Creedmoor and the 6.5 PRC. Why do I have an interest in these cartridges? Well, 308 is plenty. I know a lot of you guys are out there, it's the 6.5, need more, all this other nonsense, and you don't think there's any reason for the 6.5 Creedmoor, but actually there is. So the 6.5 Creedmoor is a very good at distance cartridge, better than the 308, simply because it has a better ballistic coefficient, it tends to shoot flatter, therefore it makes hunting a bit easier. 308 is a fine hunting cartridge. I've killed a lot of stuff with it, love it to death, but at extended ranges, the 308 is less than ideal simply because of bullet drop and drift, right? The 6.5 Creedmoor does better. Now, 6.5 PRC goes a step further. It's using the same 6.5 bullet, roughly the same bullet weight. It's just pushing it 6 to 8% faster. If you take a look at the 6.5 Creedmoor cartridge I have here and contrast that to the 6.5 PRC next to it, so you have 6.5 Creedmoor, 6.5 PRC, you're going to see that the case is a bit bigger on the 6.5 PRC, the exact same bullet, and this is going to give us that 6 to 8% increase in velocity, about 200 feet per second improvement, but it's going to give us about 47 grains of water inside a 6.5 Creedmoor case, about 64 grains of water in a 6.5 PRC case. So the 6.5 PRC is going to be a little bit faster, a little bit flatter. It's using the same 1 in 8 twist rate, so at that 3,000 feet per second velocity, 2960, 3,000 feet per second out of the 6.5 PRC with that 1 in 8 twist, that great sectional density, that nice long bullet, that flat shooting bullet, when it hits soft tissue, it just shreds things. It is an outstanding hunting cartridge. It also has the benefit of not being a massive recoiling cartridge. The 6.5 Creedmoor is a very pleasant cartridge to shoot. More pleasant, in my opinion, than 308. The 6.5 PRC is more like a 308 in terms of recoil, but it's getting you that extra push. Now, 308 recoil is not bad. Now, some people may complain about it out of lightweight rifles, but really 308 recoil is nothing. I can shoot 308s all day long and it doesn't bother me. So the 6.5 PRC is my new favorite. I've been shooting a Browning rifle for a while. I've wanted to hunt with it, but I kind of like the Model 700 action, and that's what this Pure Precision rifle is. It's based on the Remington Model 700. So Pure Precision, they made this entire rifle, okay? So they do make entire rifles, and we'll talk more about this in the full video, but they also make components. So if you're into picking up a hunting rifle, you might want to take a look at Pure Precision. They're going to cost you, but any custom-built hunting rifle is going to be a bit expensive. This rifle prides itself on the fact that it's incredibly lightweight. I mean, this thing is like right at 6 pounds, maybe a little under, with no optic or can or anything on it. Proof research barrel, 1 in 8 twist. Their own stock. This is a Pure Precision stock, Pure Precision Action. They call it the SKLTN Action, kind of like skeleton, but like abbreviated. They have it in stainless steel, they have it in TI, so and they make the stock, the floor plates, has a Trigger Tech trigger in it. A very, very nicely made gun. Now, despite its super lightweight, this thing does not recoil very bad at all. So on the end of it, I have an Otter Creek 30 cal can. I do have some 6.5 cans, but 30 cal cans will work just fine. This thing is nice and quiet on here. I'll probably wind up shooting it without ears on here momentarily. On top, I have a primary arms optic, and you can see that this one goes from 4.5 power all the way up to 27 power. It's the GLX, has a 56 millimeter bell on it, and it's a front focal plane optic. So this is a great combination. Now you can go with a slightly lighter scope. I could probably get away with this, especially hunting around here in Indiana, with like a 10 power, super lightweight 10 power optic. And I may switch different optics on here. We'll play with some different stuff probably. This one's a little bit heavier, but because it is capable of extended ranges, I wanted to have a little bit more magnification on it. But generally when I hunt, I'll keep the magnification between 10 and 15 power. I don't really crank it up. You'd never see me up at 27 power in magnification. Usually you're just going to lose resolution and things like that. Mirage gets really bad. There's nothing really to be gained from it. You know, some people like to use their rifle scopes as spotting scopes. I don't. So anyway, yeah, this is an outstanding rifle, again, based on the Model 700 with that Trigger Tech trigger in it. It has a familiar safety on it. It has this fluted bolt. It's a lightweight bolt. You can see how they've hollowed out the bolt handle. Everything on this thing has a focus on lightweight, but maintaining that accuracy. You have a release over here on the left-hand side of the receiver. You just push that in. You can draw your bolt out. You can see that fluted bolt. The lightning cuts that have been done to it have a 2-lug bolt on it. Has an external extractor right here on the side, and then a plunger, very AR-15-ish in nature. So the action on this thing is just buttery smooth, very, very smooth. So let's do a little shooting with the Pure Precision rifle. I think you're going to find that when you watch this thing go off, you're gonna go, man, that looks actually kind of pleasant for such a massive cartridge. Well, I mean, it's not like a 300 Win Mag or anything, but it does have considerable oomph to it. Now, some folks would say that this is overkill for deer. We're in that kind of sweet spot in the Midwest where our deer can get to be real bruisers. We're not talking about South Texas deer, even Tennessee deer. Up here, we have some serious hosses. Where down south, you can get like large dog size in terms of size and weight. Up here, it's like, can be up to like small horse size. So you might want to go out with, you know, 6.5 PRC. Even folks up here hunt with 300 Win Mag. It's not too much rifle for our deer around here. And then, of course, if you want to stretch it out a little ways, which you can around here, I generally take shots inside 200 yards. Very rarely do I shoot past 200 yards. But this rifle is more than capable of it, and with rifles I'm very comfortable with, I would not have a problem taking a 400 or 500 yard shot on an animal if I had good distance. One thing that you'll definitely want if you like to hunt is a good laser rangefinder. These are some old Bushnell binoculars that have a laser rangefinder built in. They're always out here. When I'm hunting, I'll take them with me. You just look at your target, hit the laser, you got your range, put your dope on your scope, and take that shot. Now you'll find that I shoot Hornady ammo quite a bit when I'm hunting, and why is that? I'm kind of conflicted on their bullet design. I've had their bullets just literally explode in animals and leave no exit wound, which is less than ideal. That happened to me with a Neil guy at about 195 yards in a 300 Win Mag. The bullet literally exploded inside the animal, sat him down. He didn't take a step, but there was no exit wound. So if my shot was less than perfect, the animal could have run off, and their hide is so thick the entrance wound typically heals itself back up. And if you don't have a big exit wound with blood spurting out of it, it's kind of hard to track that animal. So I do like a good bonded bullet that holds together, that punches all the way through if possible. Sometimes the Hornady bullets don't give me that type of clean pass through. But on the other end, they're some of the most accurate hunting cartridges I've ever fired. So I can put that bullet exactly where I want that bullet to go. And then I just kind of have to hope that the bullet's going to dig in deep enough. Now around here with the deer that I'm shooting in, I'm not shooting at big game like Neil Guy. The 6.5 PRC is going to punch through it, probably even clear. I guess we're going to find out because it'll be the first year I've actually shot a deer with the 6.5 PRC. So as some Remington 700s, you just load them up, pull the bolt to the rear, lay the round in there, and just kind of push it down into the magazine. I'll put 3 rounds in here. like that. All right. And we'll go ahead and close that action up. And let's do a little bit of shooting out at range. Now, I'll have Jason kind of pan around out here. So if you take a look, at the range we have out here. So this first little bowling pin target, that's at 50 yards. Then you go back to where you see the paper stand, and then you have the 3 man-sized targets on a little tree there. That's 100. Going out to the man size and the small plate, that's 150. All the way out against that first back berm, that's 200. The guy up in the tree line, that's 250. Then if you move over here to the right, the dark targets, the black painted targets, those are 300 yards. And that white target way back against that back berm is 350 yards. So if you take a look at this field, that flat area, kind of the valley, if you will, between the hills where all that grass is, in the evening, the deer will stand up out there. Usually on a sit in the evening in the fall, like right now, I'll see anywhere between 10, 20, 25 deer. I mean, they're everywhere out there. Mostly doe. We'll see 1 or 2 buck move through the property every once in a while, but then I'm a meat hunter, so I usually go after the doe. This thing against doe is probably going to do pretty darn good. Usually the bucks are going to be bigger. Even a good-sized doe that's several years old, it should fall pretty quickly to this. I've been pretty blessed in my life when it comes to hunting deer. I've never lost one, knock on wood. All right, so now if a deer pops out, let's say at 200 yards, the nice thing about the 6.5 PRC is there's minimal drop at the distances we're talking about out here. So I can laze it, quickly get my distance, and then I just, instead of dialing elevation in, I have an ACSS reticle in here. I'll use the reticle to get my hold. So at 200 yards, all I got to do is just, and we're just talking a couple of inches here in terms of elevation difference. Guess you got to take that safety off. Easy hit. Even if I go all the way out to 300 yards, I can easily score a hit just by my holds. So this rifle, and you can see, look at the recoil on this thing. I'll fire off that third round. Action is just buttery smooth on this bad boy. We'll go to 250. Just very, very smooth. And despite the fact it's got all that horsepower, the recoil is minimal. So I'm really looking forward to getting this thing out, knocking a deer down. Maybe we'll go out west, or maybe even down into Texas next year with this rifle, maybe with the guys from Pure Precision, and do a little bit of hunting. I've been talking to them about it. They sent me the rifle to do some hunting with, to play with, and I plan on putting this thing through its paces. Again, we'll do an entire video on this, so if you're into deer rifles, comment down below. What do you like? What's your favorite cartridge? Do you like 6.5 PRC, 6.5 Creedmoor, 308, 30-06, 243? There's so many cartridges out there that people hunt deer with that are incredibly effective. You don't need a 6.5 PRC. You don't need a 6.5 Creedmoor. You can use Grandpappy's 30-06. There's so many good cartridges to choose from. The only reason I'm looking at the PRC, because it's a new cartridge. It was developed by George Gardner down at GA Precision. It was developed for long range and flat shooting. That's very much his game. I think it came into being right around 2013 is when he started playing with it, something like that. I could get my dates wrong. So it's a relatively new cartridge is my point. It's a step up from that 6.5 Creedmoor. Obviously the 6.5 Creedmoor inspired it. So we'll talk more about that in a future video, and hopefully I'll get myself a nice deer. We'll get an idea of what the 6.5 PRC does to soft tissue. Again, I suspect we're going to do pretty darn good, but we'll definitely find out. I look forward to those comments down below. Guys, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, the best way to do that is to become part of our Patreon family. There's a link in the video description below. Also, right here on YouTube, you got the little join and thanks button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Mash either one of those buttons. You can help support us in the age of demonetization right here on YouTube. Last but not least, please swing by, check out Copper Custom. Thank you for 15 years of support. Hope you guys get a deer this year. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.